Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk to you about Beta Decay, an upcoming open world survival space sim with a player driven and NPC driven economy with stock market trading, where you can do anything from work a job as a janitor to owning a cleaning company to becoming a corporate assassin to owning and operating an entire crime syndicate.
That's a huge bitch.
Yes, this game, it looks like it's planning to literally have everything, but tamper your expectations because it most certainly won't. But what a lot of people don't understand is that having an unreachable goal is a good thing, because on your way to that unreachable game, we'll have a really fucking cool game to play. And I think we can all agree on that. Now, this game was set to come out in early access in 2025, but the developer has pushed out a video on Beta Decay's official YouTube channel stating that as they are getting a lot of things finished and 2025 has been an incredibly productive year for him, they still have a lot to go. And going through this roadmap really gives you an overhead view of how far we really are until the early access of Beta Decay itself. The footage that you're seeing on screen is the most in-depth pre-alpha footage I've ever seen on YouTube. It's 35 minutes long and the game looks absolutely sick and fluid. The footage itself is from a YouTuber called Putrid Corpse. When I asked him if it was okay to use some of this footage, he was an absolute gem and said he would be honored, and I just appreciate that guy so much. Go check out that video because it is very in-depth. It's just an excellent look at the game. So go check out Putrid Corpse 39, drop him a sub. He will be covering this game further into the future. I'll link the video down below. Let him know that I sent you. Now back to the video. I want to take a look at the actual roadmap that they have finished and polished up on the website itself and mention some features that I'm super interested in. This definitely helps put the game into a better scope, and not only did it match my expectations of how in-depth and immersive this game will be, but it smashed past those expectations, and that's a good thing. So what is Beta Decay actually? By the looks of it, almost like a shrunken down Star Citizen, operating in a game environment within Alpha Centauri. So there'll be planets you can go to with seamless transition from your spaceship to the surface of planets. You'll be able to modify almost anything from your spaceship to giant mechs that you'll stomp around in, all the way down to your bioengineering to perfectly cater to the character you want to have. Now, these maps won't be procedurally generated, but handcrafted by the developer himself. And I almost in every single way agree with this design decision because it makes the environments more interesting and enticing to explore than if they were procedurally generated. The only issue with that strategy is it takes a long time, and he's going to be developing maps on entire planets throughout the life cycle of this game. That being said, these entire planets aren't going to be as big as something like Star Citizen. Think of Star Citizen, but at a shrunken down scale. You will be able to navigate the entire planet, but it won't be fucking massive in a way where this is a walking simulator. I see this as a goal to make the environment feel purposeful and something that you're meant to explore, as opposed to just making a very huge game, because that's cool and marketable. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the roadmap and understand what we're going to get with early access. And before you ask, no, prices have not been announced yet. So when I open up the early access roadmap, it looks like they only have 2 features out of 51 features they want to have in the game before they release it onto early access. I know that sounds like a lot, but most of these features have been completed and are in a testing phase, so no actual work has to be done on a majority of these. One of the biggest ones, of course, is getting multiplayer to work, and yes, that is in testing phase at the moment. Mentioning only the most important and interesting features that are coming to early access, it looks like we're going to have mouse and keyboard, obviously, and controller support. Will this be on consoles? I don't think so, not at the moment, but the fact that this is one of the priorities in the game, I think it will be coming to console at some point in the future. Another thing coming to the game will be weather conditions like rain, windstorms, and dense fog. Of course, they're working on an in-depth character creation system where you can change your face, your hair, your skin color, your weight, your height, all sorts of stuff. He's still testing cosmetics like a ghillie suit and heavy coat and raincoat and all sorts of stuff like that. By the looks of the trailers I've seen and what's here on the roadmap, dismemberment will be a large part of Beta Decay's gruesome violence, and yes, that is still in testing phase. Another big system it looks like they're working on is being able to interact with many items in the game, including holding them, turning them in your hand, and inspecting them. That's really cool. And next to that, they're working on furnishing, because in this game you'll be able to buy your own apartments and homes, put a bed inside of there, put a couch inside of there, use them as safe zones, use them as places to save your character, and places where you can store equipment, because this game will have a large meta progression where you're building up your character, you're building up your supplies and things you can do to survive out in the environment. They're still testing out a visual display of body limb damage by color and amount. This includes wounded locomotion, animations, and dismemberment to occur when maximum limb damage is received. This sounds like you could lose your leg in battle and you'll be hopping home.
What are you gonna do, bleed on me? I'm invincible!
They're working on artillery, almost like massive mortars and ground-based missiles that will destroy buildings around you. And yes, the environment will be destructible for the most part. Another thing they're testing is a stock exchange containing a minimum of 50 tradable companies where share price is determined by the calculation of fundamental values. So a nice little way to make money within the game. They're still testing a plethora of new weapons, 2 SMGs, 2 rifles, 2 pistols, 1 sniper rifle, 1 AT rifle, 1 RPG, 1 shotgun, grenades, claymores, mines, and throwing knives. Another thing that's in testing is modular weapon system where you can throw on attachments such as grips, suppressors, scopes, and all the goodies. They're still testing exo suits that can help you carry heavier objects. Right now they're also testing something called SYH lowercase I. In the description it says linking body and technology, the biosynaptic interface displays character statistics in world space via UI such as stamina, thirst, and overall well-being. They are currently testing 2 variants of this. They're still testing core combat features and wearable technologies such as MVGs, shoulder lamp, Geiger counter, an ECS scanner, medical scanner, resource scanner, flares, things like that. The save and load feature for your character is still in development, along with a visual inventory, life support systems. And right here is interesting, they're going to have anomalies such as the anomalies from Stalker in the game. In Beta Decay, they will be calling these phenomenon, but these won't be restricted to gravitational forces that rip you from limb to limb. There's viruses, entanglement traps, solar flares, creatures, hazardous areas. That's all it really says right now. Phenomenon spread across the game world that includes these things. Another thing that is still in development is a V-23 helicopter that can be mounted and used as quick transport across strata. It says in hyphens this will not be pilotable though. And another thing that's only about 50% complete is a basic first iteration of enemy and friendly AI that roam the top side. They're still working on an AI conflict and allegiance system. They're trying to make them react to one another in either a friendly or hostile way. The mechs, the MCVs, are still in development. The pilotable mechanized combat vehicles that include 3 torso types with 4 mountable weapons. In addition, usage of countermeasures and UI systems that can be controlled via manual buttons and switches. This is one of the features in Beta Decay that I see people are most excited about. An open world where you can modify a gigantic mech that you stomp around the world in is a very cool idea and will be a cornerstone of Beta Decay. Of course, something that is in development and probably always will be until the completion of the game is environments and just the world building itself, or worlds building, because there'll be multiple planets you can go to. There'll be 3 primary allegiances that you can align with or betray depending on how you like to do your playthrough. There'll be fabrication in the game, I assume, to make the modular systems for your MCVs or your weapons or your gear, whatever it may be. And finally, what I see here is a contract terminal with dynamically generated contracts that enable first iteration roles, including elimination, transport, and repair missions. I almost went through everything on this list because it all seems really interesting and quite integral to a game like this. And having these things alone will be very interesting to get our hands on and explore and play through. Now, finally, I want to go to the roadmap list of features that will be coming after early release. Whether they're coming during the early alpha phase or when the game hits 1.0, we don't know, but there are more features here. Not a very long list, especially compared to the early alpha list, but I guarantee this will expand as time goes on and people come up with more ideas. And also being that the developer isn't going to want to give everything away for 1.0. So what I see here is, of course, more missions, an underground city that contains a variety of districts where the majority of civilization resides. Looks like there'll be a huge expansion on the lore and in-game environments. They'll also be adding vehicles like trucks, cars, forklifts, and cargo containers, and army tanks. They'll be expanding on spaceship construction, the ability to wield together ECS structures and components and propel them into orbit. It looks like space travel won't be coming until after early alpha release or 1.0 itself. It says here that you can travel through space aboard a custom built spacecraft, walk aboard your ship during flight with your cargo and crew with localized gravity and atmospheric systems. And of course, a whole separate mechanic they'll have to build off of that is zero gravity locomotion and custom directional gravity to work with the current movement locomotion system. Very cool. You'll be able to float around in anti-gravity. Of course, the developer will be continuing to work on non-procedurally fully scaled planets that can be traversed globally. So we may not get something like this in early alpha. This is an incredibly ambitious goal, something I don't even know if a game like this could pull off, but here's to hoping. There'll be asteroid belts and obstacles in space, implants such as boosters powered by bioenergy that enhance character capabilities when activated. And here's another thing, an ability to physically trade objects with AI characters characters. This allows items to be placed in the world in exchange for physical currency between AI. In multiplayer, this functionality will already exist for player-to-player trades thanks to the physics-based inventory system. This is really interesting, being that this game looks like it wants to be more of an immersive sim than anything else. They're going to try to build complicated systems around anything you do in the game actually affecting the environment. And this feature that I'm mentioning right here will be a massive stepping stone to something like that. And ladies and gentlemen, that is everything I see on the roadmap so far. That really piques my interest. Honestly, I almost gave you the lowdown on everything that I see. Only when it comes to this upcoming roadmap, there's so much more I could talk about in this game. There's a lot of things in the dev phases and the information and dev logs that I could talk about. There's so many things that have been mentioned that aren't on this roadmap, but the video is already going to be super long. I don't want to make it incredibly long. Also, I can make another video about that later. I appreciate you guys for being here. Are you interested in Beta Decay? Are you excited as I am for a game like this? Let me know what you find so intriguing about this game, because I'm curious about how people feel and why this got so much hype. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, and have yourselves a very nice day.